Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
Tell me the shirt's a rental.
It's a rental? Oh, no. That's the greatest of all time, if you ask many people.
I thought Metallica was. What? You're killing us.
It's the greatest basketball player I personally have ever seen. I will not go as far as the Four Letter Network did in 1999, 2000, and made him the greatest athlete of all time. I think that award belongs to, well, I never saw Jim Thorpe, so that award to me belongs to Bo Jackson.
Okay.
Greatest basketball player I ever saw, not greatest athlete. He proved that in baseball.
Oh, brother.
He wasn't a terrible baseball player. He really wasn't. I think if he would have continued, he would have been good. But it's an easy joke. Always is. And he goes along with it. Even he doesn't take that personal.
Oh, boy. Yeah. All right. So, the U.S. Open will start on Thursday. The tee times are out. Some really great groupings, too. The tickets are all sold out, by the way. Now, they asked me about it. I'm going to go to the Oakmont tomorrow.
Nice.
They asked me about it, and I said, Jason Lord's thinking of going. He said, well, we'll put out a press release that they're all sold out.
Immediately, within seconds.
It was amazing the speed with which they did it. Oh, goodness. Like, you guys are great. I said, you're the best. Right? They said, no, we just want to ensure a great experience for everybody at the golf tournament. I said, I'm with you all the way on that. So it's the 125th, by the way. And it's the 10th time, which is a record, that one course has hosted the U.S. Open. So more of that later in the week. Talk more about the experience on Thursday. I'm going to Johnstown tonight to speak to the Penn State Club of the Laurel Highlands. They asked about you going. And it basically came down to, we're talking about Sonny Hanna, and we said pool, pond. I said, pond would be good for him. Pool, pond would be good for him.
Can't go there. Can't go to the War Memorial. They might even put a Jason is not welcome right as you enter Johnstown.
Yeah. So look, let's at least talk about the private equity for a moment. There was a story that came out about UCLA and Penn State and Elevate. Well, Elevate does more than just private equity, okay? Penn State was already in an agreement with Elevate anyway on tickets. And they released that last summer, I think, right?
Yeah, it was probably about a year ago.
Yeah. Where they, right? And Pat Kraft put out a statement. He said, Elevate serves as our partner in ticketing strategy and operations. He says, to clarify our relationship is strictly limited to these services. We have no affiliation or involvement with any other private equity firm or fund. And Martin Jarmond from UCLA denied the report as well. And again, this was put out, it was August of last year. So we were right about the summertime. Elevate could, they focus on what Elevate could provide when it comes to the premium seating areas that are coming to Beaver Stadium in 2027. So our partnership with Elevate will take our seating and experiences strategy to the next level, one of the premier agencies in the country. Elevate brings unparalleled expertise that will help us maximize our premium seating and experiences in a renovated Beaver Stadium and enhance the game day experience. They said they play also a critical role in driving revenue growth that will support all 31 athletics programs through a well-executed, quote, ticketing strategies. Okay? That's what it's about. So, yeah. I mean, do they have in a relationship with them? Yes. Okay? They do. But it was announced in August. This was no secret. That's why when I looked at it, when I saw it, when it came across yesterday, I looked at it, I said, they're already associated with Elevated. I don't understand what's going on here. And then, when Pat released his statement, says, all right, now I get it. Okay. And I said, the reason Penn State's name is associated with Elevate is simple. They have a relationship with them. In terms of private equity, he says, he's always talked about it. He says, why would I give up my money? He said, they basically are saying, we're done. We don't know how to run our business, but you got to get money back or to private
Absolutely.
equity. They don't just give you the money, right? Contrary to what you think. You scare me. Always attracted to the big shiny object.
That's right. You see the green, like, oh, hey.
Okay, it's like Metallica merch. It's like North Pole, South Pole.
I have too much of that.
North Pole, South Pole.
Too much of that.
That's you, right? The big shiny object. Look, this is I mean, I can see how somebody might make the connection, but that's not. That's not.
Right.
There's usually a little bit more to them when people realize in these things. How about last night? The Oilers, that game had so many penalties last night. I mean, it looked like you
came unraveled.
No, it looked like you in the parking lot. It was unbelievable.
Or Miami in the Cotton Bowl many years ago.
Yeah.
Had first and 40.
6-1 was the final.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Look, does it matter if you lose in overtime? You lose 6-1. I mean, 6-8. It's like overtime's harder to deal with.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, they just got. I mean, early Marchand scored, and that was it.
Yeah. Better for this to happen in Game 3 than Game 7.
Right. Then it was 2-1, and then Verhaeghe scored almost right away. Every time Edmonton seemed to be close to getting anything, quickly Florida seized it back. Simple as that. So now you've got Oklahoma City and Indiana, and they play. I think that game's tomorrow night, right? Is that game tomorrow?
I think it's Wednesday. Yeah, I think it's Wednesday night. Yep.
Yeah. This is a Tuesday.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was trying to put the day together, and I'm like, yep.
Unbelievable.
Yep. You take a few days off, it all runs together after that. You're like, well, wait.
Does the FBI know who you are?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
Just
Yeah.
checking.
Yeah, usually when I see back in the day when I saw the words "do not accept a check from this man," I think that was a good indication.
Just checking. All right, so.
Now the young listeners are saying, "What's a check?"
Oh, that's just so low.
What's a check? What's a cassette tape? My goodness.
Yeah.
The stuff we had when we were younger.
All right. The Red Sox called up the Roman Empire last night. Yes, they called up Roman Anthony. Finally, he's the number one prospect in baseball. He did not get a hit last night. But they are, to be honest with you, a confusing franchise to watch right now. I mean, the Phillies have lost, 9 out of 10?
9 of 11 at one last night.
They won last night because mean, the Pirates beat them.
Yeah, swept them. Swept them.
Like, really?
Pirates score 16 runs in what, 8, 9 games? They score 6 and 3 and sweep the Phillies. Or, well, more than 6. 8.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. That's and there's, obviously, Harper out. Does it affect your lineup? Yes, it shouldn't affect it that much.
No, but, it's...
Yeah, he's your leader. I get it, but...
I mean, it's a 10-game run here.
Exactly. This is a
good.
team that, especially when I've had the dubious honor of being there last Saturday when they were down 17-1.
It's a bad number.
Ended up being 17-7. They made it look better.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, so that's the baseball story there. I mean, it's like baseball has a lot of issues right now, and part of it's, what's interesting is the last 2 years Sunday Night Baseball's had its highest ratings. Okay, last 2 seasons, highest ratings. And it puts some interesting matchups out there.
Yep.
Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox, Yankees, things like that. Sure. I mean, I got that part. But the $550 million contract's going by the boards. And what they're saying is this. They are saying that they're not going to be able to make up the $550 million based on the people they're talking to. Like, they're talking to NBC. I think they're talking to Amazon Prime about the Sunday Night Baseball package. And the question is it worth the $550 million? They don't think they're going to get it. And I think that's a very interesting proposition for them, because if you're talking about $550 million, that means Major League Baseball over a 3-year span is going to lose $1.5 billion in that contract.
I think
$1.5 billion.
I think the one thing too that makes Sunday Night Baseball the rating it is, obviously the matchups are a big part of it, but the other part is Major League Baseball especially. The NFL is very guilty of it now too, obviously, but you just don't know where the games are anymore unless it's your local team.
Yeah.
Sunday Night Baseball, you know exactly where to go and exactly where to watch. At this point, there's so many things involved with Major League Baseball, not just your local market. Your local market's always going to have that channel where at this point it's a national channel, but you're still trying to find your teams a lot of times. Oh, they're not on NBC Philly today. They're on Apple TV. They're on Facebook. They're on Twitter. They're on something. And that's where I think Major League Baseball is hurting themselves a little bit too. Do you want to completely dive into streaming? That's fine. Right. But pick one or two where you're going to focus mainly on and not 6 or 7.
The streaming thing is interesting for this reason. I'm not sure. These deals that Major League Baseball has happen to be with cable.
Yeah,
the contracts they put together had a cable.
Yep.
A cable slant to them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I know that after having 100 million, I think, what is ESPN down now to 70 million?
70 million, yeah.
Subscribers.
Around there.
But that's still a lot of people.
Sure, absolutely.
And
well, to their credit, I think they've adapted to the times in a lot of ways. I think ESPN has. It has their content, maybe not so much, but has their production of the content, yes.
Right. Let's do a couple things first. Number one, Warner Brothers Discovery yesterday decided they would split into 2 companies, one that does the TV and the movie studio, along with Max, by the way, okay, which is going to be called HBO Max for streaming service. And then The other one is going to be TNT Sports. So, in other words, they're going to split that, and that's how they're going to do it. Now, Versant is the spinoff from Comcast, and Versant has NBC Universal, USA, MSNBC, CNBC, Golf Channel, and others from Comcast. So it's not the first split we've seen in sports. So they're doing that. TNT, it looks like maybe getting a semifinal for the college football playoff, which is interesting. I can't believe ESPN would give up a semifinal.
That's what I was surprised about.
Right? I mean, it's their property, so they're the ones that spun it out.
They've got to be trading something. I can't imagine they're just going to give that up for. Yeah, obviously, TNT's not going to have the NBA next year either, so I don't know what they'd be.
I don't know.
That's a good question. I don't know.
I mean, TBS, for example, has a major baseball contract. That.
Yep.
It's not like, they still have the NCAA basketball tournament.
Yeah, that's where I think you might, maybe something could brew there. I don't think so, though.
Yeah.
That would almost have to be. I can't see them just giving it up.
Yeah. I don't know what they're doing. Because ESPN keeps doing these tantalizing promos about the future of sports. Like, okay, what does this mean? Again, the streaming thing, I think you have to be careful with it. Okay? And this is where I think you need to be careful. I think if you treat streaming like a supplement, you have a winner. Okay? Because there are people that...
You get the best of both worlds that way. Yeah.
Right. To me, the goal of media is to maximize audience.
Sure. And not force.
Right.
Which is what I think the NFL has done at this point.
Right. So you want to maximize audience. Right. Some of the things that the NFL has done, for example, hey, we're going to put Christmas on Netflix. I'm like, we're going to take a playoff game, we're going to put it on
Peacock,
streaming.
yep.
Okay.
Or Amazon, yep.
Well, yeah, Amazon is different because that's already an established streaming service. Peacock, you have to go out and get it. But to me, the best formula is the one where, like, let's take Penn State's Oregon game. It's going to be the whiteout.
Yeah.
And that's going to be on NBC.
Nationally.
And
absolutely.
And on Peacock.
Yep.
So for people who don't have cable and just stream, they can stream the game on Peacock. For the people out there who don't stream or don't have Peacock as one of their streamers, it's on NBC. That's maximizing your audience. Anytime Penn State plays on CBS, the game is also on Paramount Plus.
Yep.
Again, you're maximizing your audience when you do that. When you say it has to be one or the other, you aren't. Now, Thursday Night Football with the NFL and Amazon, or now the NBA going to Amazon. To their credit, because of the NFL, Amazon took the same approach Fox did in the early 90s with the NFL. We're going to get the NFL because they wanted to promote their primetime lineup.
Yep.
The Simpsons. Among other shows.
Yep.
And you want to talk about a winner. It did exactly what they hoped it would do. Right? To the point where CBS was out of it for a period of time, and then finally CBS got the contract back, and then we found out what was going on that night on 60 Minutes. Right? So that was Amazon took the Fox approach. We're going to use the NFL to promote what we're doing. Now we're going to use our success with the NFL to get the NBA contract. And they also may use their success with the NFL to get a piece of the Major League Baseball contract. And what does that do? That makes you a 365-day sports entity. So they've been smart about it. But to me, when you sit there and you look at, if you want to do things that are all streaming, just all streaming, I think you run into a problem. If you use streaming as a supplement, an important supplement, you then maximize your audience. And I think that has to, no matter what discussion is had in boardrooms, that has to be the primary discussion. How do we get more people to watch? Just having a streaming service do the games and cutting off, to me, that's cutting off your nose to spite your face.
I agree.
I mean, that's the way it is. Now, the House settlement, look, this creates more of the divide, in my opinion, between have and have not. Penn State is one of the haves because of the Big Ten contract. Penn State is positioned, as is every team in the SEC, positioned because of the TV contracts and the respective radio deals to handle this. For example, Trev Alberts, who was the athletic director at Nebraska, negotiated a deal with Playfly. Got him a pretty good chunk of change. I think Nebraska's getting like 12 to 15 million a year, something like that. Well, he then goes to Texas A&M as the athletic director, and he just got a deal worth $30 million a year with Playfly for the radio. Now, this isn't their TV deal, okay? Penn State had been the number one Playfly property in terms of payment until Texas A&M. And just so you know, I gave you the Nebraska number. Penn State's is higher, like definitely, I'd say, significantly higher. So this is the Penn State positioning. Numbers are going up every year now. So you remember, this is a backloaded contract. So now the higher numbers are beginning to come in for Penn State on the Big Ten TV deal. Beginning. Not there yet, but beginning, because it's a backloaded contract. 2, the Playfly deal, don't discount that. Oh, it's just radio. No, don't discount it. You know, and it's more than just radio. It's the stuff you see in the stadium, things like that. Right. It's all part of that deal. So they have that. This is positioning now. So let's talk about the positioning in the Big 12 and the ACC. There is nobody in either one of those conferences that has a TV deal comparable to the Big 10 or the SEC. There is nobody in the ACC that has a radio deal that is comparable to the top teams in the Big 10 and the ACC, or the SEC. Okay? Nobody. Like, they don't have that. Their TV deal is half of what the Big Ten's happens to be. And all their radio deals aren't in the same ballpark as what Penn State or Texas A&M have. Or LSU. I think LSU is like $18 million a year. Right? Nebraska, people like that. These are all SEC Big Ten teams that have these deals. Okay? And the next part is that when we talk about the positioning, people talk about, well, look at the Big East. They don't have football except for UConn. Yeah, but the Big East TV deal is not worth a lot of money. They're going to have to fundraise that money for their basketball. They're going to have to do it. Because their TV deal is not going to be able to do it. And their radio deal, they're in a single radio deal really worth, like, if a Big Ten school had radio deals like they have in the Big East, they'd be like, we're not doing that well. And I think the one Big East school that Playfly has is Villanova. Okay? Which makes sense. I mean, Playfly's down in Berwyn. But everybody else doesn't. And it's like, they're fine. But in this era, you need more than fine.
Absolutely.
So does it create the possibility of have and have nots? That's why I understand what Tony Petitti is driving at with 4 automatic qualifiers, because Tony Petitti wants to take it an extra step. He wants to take the Big Ten championship weekend, and instead of having 1 play 2, he wants 3 play 6, and he wants 4 to play 5, and the 2 winners get the other 2 automatic bids. See, that's what he wants to do. Which, of course, means you can do what?
Yeah.
Sell it.
Sell it. Absolutely.
All right. It's called inventory.
Yeah.
And these are play-in games. That's what he's looking to do. Now, but you can't do it unless you have the 4 automatic qualifiers.
Right.
Okay. And that part is not settled yet and will not be settled. December 1st, I think, is the deadline for 2026, I believe. Like, okay. Now, can you settle between now and December 1st? I don't know. I'd have to ask Heather Dinich that. She's around it more than I am. But that's where we are. This is, it's interesting. And sports has become interesting in this regard. Look at the U.S. Open right now. Guess, okay, Fox, NBC had it, then Fox had it. Then Fox sold off the rest of their contract to NBC. Took it over again. Okay. Well, I'm not sure when the contract runs out. It's not, I think, not much more left in the contract. Maybe a couple more years.
Yep.
You know what they don't have right now? Bidders.
Yeah.
For the U.S. Open. They don't have bidders, which I was surprised at.
Yeah, that's very. I agree.
Look, live sports is something. Now, again, part of this offshoot, although this doesn't really play into let's see, into the Live PGA split, because, like, for example, John Rahm had his press conference this morning. Bryson DeChambeau's this afternoon. Well, they're Live players. All right? So, I mean, Dustin Johnson had his yesterday, Live player. Now, the question is going to be, if there's that kind of divide, and suddenly a major property like that is left with actually yelling in the hallway. If you are sitting there and like this, like if I'm TNT, I bid for this thing. They actually did pretty well on the the contract's up now. Okay, the USGA has played. Yeah, this is the last year of the contract. Okay, acquired in 2020. Approximate value is $1 billion spanning 12 years, which is everything. It's the U.S. Open, U.S. Women's Open, and other USGA championships. The existing partnership between ESPN and NBC was set to expire in 2030. The negotiations typically several years in advance. Okay. USGA's decision to open the bidding process will introduce a competitive landscape. Why are they opening up the bidding process?
Yes.
That makes no sense.
No.
This is what they say. NBC Sports, incumbent rights holder, likely to defend its position. CBS, natural fit given its commitment to golf. ESPN, if they do it. Potential bidder leveraging its grown digital reach. See, the grown digital thing is like, no. Then they talk about streaming. I mean, are you going to sit there and stream golf?
I wouldn't think so.
No. Yeah. Now, the head of NBC Sports was asked about Liv, and he says, look, they're a total sideshow. Okay. His guy's name is Sam Flood. And they say that, obviously they're going to talk to what they're doing. But like NBC, they moved down from Roger Maltby, Gary Koch, and Paul Azinger. Flood's vision for golf on NBC had quietly started to take shape. So they had a juiced-up broadcast for the U.S. Women's Open. Yeah, I watched it. I wasn't exactly... Okay. In big moments of the U.S. Women's Open and the players, lead producer Tommy Roy, who's very good, by the way, at his job, they said, highly compelling stories. Well, here's one for you. I'm one shot back. Here's your highly competitive story. I'm sorry. After a while, are there certain stories that like, okay, that's great. That's why they have the pre-show. That's where you tell the story, right? How do you feel? Jack Nicklaus does not like golfers being mic'd up when they're playing.
Which is fine by me. I would agree with him.
Right.
You're concentrating in any sport. Don't get me wrong. Baseball, same thing. But golf, you are really concentrating on that moment and that shot. And
by the way, Dan Hicks, he's been re-signed. He's got a long-term deal. Go ahead.
But yeah, I agree with the Golden Bear.
Well, like Major League Baseball, like the other
night. That's what I mean.
They mic'd up Jazz Chisholm the other night. Right? And he made an error when he was out there.
Yeah.
And then blurted out a word. Which
exactly.
I don't blame him.
No, I don't either. That's why you don't mic the guy, because you miss a putt. It's a 2-foot putt. It go clank. What's the first word out of your mouth? It's not going to be oh geez.
Yeah, but when they're doing the interviews, the guy's walking down the fairway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? He goes, what do you think of all this? Oh, it's incredible. I love this course. Oh, yeah, it's great. The rough's like 5 inches, and I can't find my ball.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. I
mean, does it make it better?
No.
No.
To me, I don't think so. I never. You're getting the emotions of the athlete, but yeah.
But again,
to anyone that's played sports, it's competitive.
But
you're going to have.
I'm watching the NBA the other.
Yeah.
Okay. And instead of interviewing the coach, they interviewed a player.
Yeah.
Now, college tournament, they did the same thing.
Yeah. I don't like it.
Guys don't know what to say.
No, they don't know what to say. They don't want to talk to them.
Right. It's like, okay, well, we have to move the ball better and play better defense.
Yeah.
I can do that.
I can do that. Yeah.
Right? Because they're not thinking about that stuff. You're not going to get some sort of insightful answer about what's going on because they're thinking about 1,000 things here as they're doing it. It's like
they're completely focused on, and that's back to my point. It's my goodness. To me, I don't want to say a disaster waiting to happen, but there's going to be things that are going to happen that are going to be a problem. Obviously, the FCC has cracked down on a number of things, and as good as you are as a network, you do your best to. Fox has done an exceptional job. You do your best to to beep out that word. Those words get out sometimes. Unfortunately, you mic up these guys, those words are going to get out a lot more. So to me, I know those listening are going to say, well, kids need to learn those words. No, they don't. No, they don't.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. Not a kid that does not need to know that word. And when you're an athlete in the vent of frustration, I understand why they say those words. So to me, no, I absolutely not. And I never thought it made the sport any better at all when you're mic'd up. It's one thing if a football player is mic'd up on the sideline. You have time to edit that. A player is mic'd up live on the spot, fielding a ground ball or putting. They're going to say something, frustration, heat of the moment sometimes. I know they're frustrated. I don't need the mic to tell me that. And it to me just is, no. I'm against it.
Yeah. Look, do I need Nick Singleton or Drew Aller or Denai Dennis Sutton interviewed during the game?
Nope.
No. Or at the end of a quarter?
Absolutely not.
No. Like,
end of game? Yes.
okay.
Press conference? Okay. Yes.
Right.
If they wish to talk to the media, if they're required to talk to the media,
so
that's different.
This is how I look at a practice or I look at a game. All right. And it's the same thing with this practice round versus, actual playing in the tournament. This is your office.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. It's an office right now you're sharing with 155 other people.
Yeah.
Or it's an office that you're sharing on your own team with 105 other people. Okay. Or 15 in basketball. And to me, at that point, your office is something that you're invited into.
Absolutely.
And you let people go about their job within the office.
I agree.
You're not there to interrupt their job.
Right.
And I realize that they've sold the rights to it. I understand that. But, it's over with. Player comes over after round, sits down, talks about it. Player comes over after game, sits down, talks about it.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what that's about. During the game, tell me a meaningful interview that you've heard during a golf tournament or a game where you sat back and go, wow, I'm really glad they did that.
Yep. Not much at all. No. And that's, when they mic up these baseball players, you sometimes get a story from them, but it's just, to me, it just feels, and this, look, we used to play sports, so that maybe it's the competitive part in me, but that, to me, you're focused on the game. You don't necessarily there's a time and place to be telling those stories, and it's just not that time. Interview Tom Brady mid-game when he was playing. What response are you going to get from him? It's not going to be a pleasant one, I can guarantee you. When he's in the moment, in the game, focused on the game, you're not going to get what you want. That's
like, I'm going to sit there instead of looking at the iPad and talking to the coach upstairs. I got to go over and talk to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
completely.
I'm thinking the entire time.
Completely.
I'll be thinking the entire time about what I have to do next.
Yeah.
You're not important.
No. That's why you're not going to get what you want. It's no way. Yeah, and that's, you go back to Game 3 of the World Series where the Phillies won at home, where they beat the Astros. Bryce Harper clearly saw something in what Lance McCullers was doing pitching. Obviously informed his teammates of it. That's what I caught, at least.
Yeah.
That's not something that's going to be on mic. It needs to be on mic or needs to even be asked about in the game. After the game, go for it. You're not going to get an answer, but ask it after the game. That's fine. But that's a moment where you're in the dugout, you're having a private moment, and prime example in the beginning.
Job.
Exactly. It's your job. It's your job. You're at work.
Okay.
That's 100% right.
Your job.
Absolutely.
To do somebody else's job.
Absolutely.
I have analysts upstairs.
That's 100%.
Right? Okay? And it's not your job to do their job.
No. Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay. They paid to be there. That doesn't give them
the right to dictate. No.
It doesn't.
That's absolutely right.
On radio, we have James at halftime.
Yeah.
Then after the game, we have James and we have two players.
Halftime after the game being the key part.
We have no players on during the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Blue-white game. No players on during the game. Because guess what? That's their office. It's their workplace.
Yeah.
They tell us what is allowed and what's not allowed.
Yes.
Okay?
Absolutely.
And our group is paying a rights fee to be there. Right? Same thing with this. Now, I realize that people have to say yes to this and can say no.
Yes.
But do I need the thoughts of Justin Thomas as he's walking down the 14th fairway? It's a beautiful day.
No.
I'm playing pretty well, whatever. And
no.
Come on.
Now obviously, something like...
You want to know what made Tiger Woods great at golf? Obviously the talent.
Yeah, the talent, sure.
But let's talk about
the mind, the mental focus. Okay? Yeah.
He played golf the way Willie Mosconi played pool. Willie Mosconi would always tell you that, like at one point,
strategy.
Mosconi ran off. Well, no, he ran off 156 straight balls at one point. He says you are not thinking about the current shot. You're taking that shot, which then puts a ball in the pocket, to then set up the next shot. Woods was always thinking 2 shots ahead. I need to be there, and when I'm there, I need to go there.
Yeah.
And he had the talent to pull it off, but he was thinking that way as opposed to reacting like, oh, geez, I'm in the pine straw.
Yeah.
All right, now what do I do?
Yes.
Okay, I'm in the fairway. Okay, I know what I want to do next. He had, of course, the talent to put it to spot A because he's already thinking about hitting from A to B when he's standing on the tee.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, you want to interrupt him and talk to him?
No.
While he's doing this? We always talk about the mental side of the game. I always love we over and over
the
again.
mental side of the game is focus.
The mental side of the game, right? Well, can we talk to you during interrupt your train of thought?
Completely interrupt your focus. Yeah, exactly. The one thing I'll tell you,
I don't agree with it.
No, I don't agree with it at all. And that's one thing you talk about the blue-white game. That's a spot where, look, you asked James Franklin, hey, can we get a microphone in there where you call a play? You ask, being the key thing. That's fine. That's a scrimmage. That's a practice. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit different than where it matters. But again, they're at work.
Get it
exactly. Again, they're at work,
and we completely understand why we don't get it.
It's their spot.
Office.
The one thing
spot.
I'll tell you. The one thing I would say, it's scary when I give advice, but my advice to broadcasters is when you are calling a game, I can assure you that game is not about you. That is about the game. Don't ever make it about you. And that's where
I crafted my entire career around.
Yeah. That is where I can assure you.
I've said that over and over again.
Yeah.
It is not today's game starring you.
No,
it's today's
absolutely
game
not.
Starring the players. It's today's game starring the atmosphere.
Those fans are not there to see the guy with the microphone. I promise you that.
You know, so I tell everybody. I was talking to Mike Rhodes about this, about emceeing something. He goes, because Mike kids me all the time about stuff. So believe me. Right. Yeah. So Mike was kidding around at the coach's first cancer. He goes, they're going to give you a microphone. I said, in all seriousness, Mike. I said, I've always had the attitude of there's nobody here to watch me MC anything.
No,
it's all about the other people.
Sure.
I said, so that's why I don't say much of these things.
Yeah. That's how I feel. Absolutely. Especially a game.
Well, I wish you'd carry it out.
A game especially. Like no matter what game you're calling, I don't care if it's Little League, I don't care if it's hitting a pinata, no matter what, it's all about the moment. It is not about the person calling it. Absolutely not. Never would be. And now I won't say never. Vince Scully calling his last game, obviously that's a special moment. It's still all about the game, but it's still, yes, then at a moment you pause and reflect, but your standard game, no, it's about the game. Don't ever make it about you.
Right. Yeah, I realize they're trying to utilize sideline people and
so
forth.
I get it too, but
Let's go downstairs and Katie George is going to tell you a story about it. And I'm like, okay, meanwhile, somebody's ripping off a 60-yard run.
Yeah.
I'm like going,
and you're not even calling. Yep. That's absolutely right.
And I'm not here. Katie George does.
That's absolutely right.
I'm not disparaging the job she does.
No, they do a great job. It's just the fact that it interrupts things it shouldn't interrupt.
Yeah. So, do the game.
I agree. Absolutely.
I mean, how many times? I know ESPN's trying to do cross promotion all the time. But how many times especially in October and November, that we have to hear what some analyst thinks about who the college football playoff team should be? Yeah. And you sit there and go, okay.
I didn't go one further. I didn't even say August. They don't wait till November. They're telling you in August.
Right. Yeah. So, Brock, what do you think about that? Who are your top 4 teams right now? Blah, 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 blah. Guess what all the people in the booth don't have? A vote.
Yep.
Right? A vote.
Yeah. No, I'm 100% in agreement with you. Absolutely, 1,000%.
What do you think? I'm like, oh, just
Yeah.
do that. I tuned into the game to see this game.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
Big picture is for another time.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yep.
Hey, I don't run those places.
No, I don't
And
either.
they don't want me in those places.
No, well, they certainly don't want me in those places.
All right. So, oh well. Anything big coming up for you, by the way?
No, that's
Wow.
took a couple days off, went home and saw my family. Finally got the chance to take a tour of Muhammad Ali's training facility.
Oh, Deer Lake.
Deer Lake. Took a look. Yeah.
That's great.
It's a great place. Highly recommend it.
Did I tell you about Dick Girardi's trip to
Yes.
Deer Lake?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ali let him in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Ali let him in.
Yeah.
He goes, hey, come on in. They go in and sit down with him. Like,
That's amazing. Yeah, he was a big part of that region, the coal region. Ali was obviously
yes,
it was big part in training, big part in telethons.
I remember he came into Wilkes-Barre, and I was Penn State Wilkes-Barre at the time. WPSI, the 10 watt,
Nice.
the 10 watt flamethrower, right? And yeah, and I'm trying to remember what her name was. But she went over and she interviewed Ali in Wilkes-Barre. She comes back, she plays the tape back, and the first thing Ali says to her, he says, "Are you the Howard Cosell of WPSI?" It was so good. He was great.
Yeah, he was definitely a guy you loved him, you hate him. There was no.
I mean,
between.
Joe Frazier I met.
Yeah, Frazier I've never met.
Yeah, Frazier I met.
Yep.
I remember shaking hands and talking with Frazier.
Yeah, lucky enough to meet Ali. Was not
I'll
lucky
tell you
enough
right
to meet
now.
Frazier.
When I shook Frazier's hand, I thought I had to send a search party in to get it.
I did see the two of them sit together at the 2002 All-Star game, NBA All-Star game. Yeah, I was a couple feet from them, but did not meet Frazier personally.
Look, Ali knows he went too far with Frazier.
Oh, there's no
I
question.
mean, he knew it because you could. I mean, you notice how Ali never had expressed any remorse about how he promoted any fight.
Sure.
Anyway,
Right.
Foreman, anybody, Jimmy Ellis, didn't matter, right? Ernie Terrell, he was mad because Terrell did not want to call him Muhammad Ali.
No.
Ernie Terrell wanted to call him
Cassius
Cassius
Clay.
Clay.
Yeah.
And so for 15 rounds, he did not knock him out. He kept hitting him, and every time he hit him, he said, "Say my name." And then he hit him again, "Say my name." Right? Not with Frazier.
Yeah.
Frazier, he went out of his way to praise Frazier to Marvis Frazier, his son, about what a great man his father happened to be. And you could tell in interviews later, when the subject came up, that he knew he went too far. Because look, when Ali was down and out on his luck, there weren't many people giving him money.
No.
Except for
Frazier.
Joe Frazier.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, it was long overdue for Joe Frazier to get a statue in Philadelphia. Very happy he finally got it.
Well, he's an Olympic gold medalist and a
heavyweight champion, not to mention he's from your region.
Yeah.
I love Rocky Balboa. I love Sylvester Stallone. He belongs there. He didn't grow up in Philly, last I checked.
Well, I've seen the Balboa's Neighborhood.
Oh, I've seen it too.
I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, that's... Yeah. And there's no question he deserves a statue. I don't take the Rocky statue away. It's the iconic statue of Philadelphia, but Joe Frazier needed a statue there long before he got it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, no question about it.
And your statues were?
I think they threw it in that... I think they would implode it with the vet. I believe.
What a shame. I actually went by the vet after they imploded it.
No, that place was
and
awful.
They were and I did see I said that looks like Jason's statue.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Oh well. Shame.
If it was the Phillies era of that time, it was probably a hat with the head down.
Oh, just the lowest. Just the lowest.
Other than 1993, which to this day I still have no idea how that team made it to the World Series.
All right. Well, there you go. So, another one in the books. We'll have an interview tomorrow. Are you back on Thursday?
I am.
Oh, looking forward to it. Yeah.
That's right.